Hello everybody, I'm so glad you're back. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your small group. This is week 8. We got one more after this. I just love it. You're taking so seriously what we're doing here. We are growing together as a church family on what it means to be a disciple. We are rearranging our lives around this pathway, around these series of steps that are going to keep us connected to God on a daily basis and then give us the power that we need to become the people that God is designing us to be and the people that our family need and believe us to be. Now we're at step 8. We got one more after this week, step 8. And step 8 is powerful, but it's pretty challenging. It kind of connects with our ego. It's this practice of serving. Now you don't have to be a Christian to serve. We all know people who have zero faith background who love to serve in their community. In fact, we all know people that are probably more loving, more joy-filled, that are more generous, more giving than many of us who claim to be followers of Jesus. I mean, it just goes to show you there are many practices that we have in the Christian faith that we hope are virtues and are practiced by other people in the world. But this thing called serving, it has a unique place and a unique birth in the life of a Christian. In one of the most famous passages of scriptures in the Bible, we looked at it last week in worship when Chris was teaching. It is Philippians chapter 2. And it kind of reveals just how unique Jesus is when it comes to all the historical religious leaders. Chapter 2 is often called a Christ hymn. It's frequently believed to be one of the most ancient passages of scripture recorded in our New Testament that we read. And here's one of the verses from chapter 2. It goes like this. It says, Jesus, who did not consider equality with God as something to be grasped. Now, all around the world, including us here that are in contact right here, we kind of see power and authority as an opportunity to grasp stuff, to grasp things and hold on to it, but not Jesus. He did not use his authority and his power to grasp. He used it to serve others. Jesus comes and he redefines for us who God is. He says the very nature of God is to serve other people. So really it was Jesus who started the whole concept of serving. He started the serving revolution. In the ancient world, serving was not a common practice except by the slaves. Not anyone in authority and power. Aristotle even put it this way. He said that any great-souled man would never humble himself and serve another. And yet Jesus, the one who had all authority and all power, the very Son of God himself, got on his knees and he washed the feet of his disciples. Jesus, the Son of God, the Christ, the Messiah, allowed himself to be nailed on the cross like another slave to show us the value and the virtue of humility in laying your life down for the sake of other people. The ancient world and modern world, we have come now to embrace and see humility in others as a virtue, yet we are very reluctant to embrace it as a virtue in our own life. Jesus had all power, he had all authority, but he came to serve. So Jesus is redefining greatness because Jesus was the greatest human that ever walked on the face of the earth. And Jesus is not saying, don't try to be great. He's just inverting what greatness is. It's not about honor. It's not about service. It's not about status. He says, if you want to be great, pursue becoming a servant. Now, it's one thing to talk about being a servant. It's a whole other thing to live it. When I got married, I discovered just how selfish I was. I think probably most of us, maybe you made that same discovery. That's why marriage can be so hard. I got married believing the ideal of mutual servanthood, that husband and wife, we mutually serve each other at the same level, and yet you get into it, and pretty soon when we get discontent, expectations are not being met because our needs aren't being served. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to really be a servant. So let's get practical. I I want to encourage you to begin. Where do you begin? Start being a servant. Well, yeah, we need you to serve in the church. The world needs you to serve at other capacities. But start in your home. Start serving the very people in your life wherever you live. Whether you're married or not, maybe you're living with your mom and dad, a brother or a sister. Maybe you got nieces or nephews living with you for whatever the purpose or reason. But start with the people right there in your household and learning to serve them. And if you're bold, you'll ask them, tell me, how am I doing at really being a servant? Dietrich Bonhoeffer talked about the ministry of the mundane. And that is serving people, the little minute, little bitty things that seem so beneath us, that in the ministry of the mundane, we grow in humility, doing the little things that we think might be beneath us or that somebody else really could do for themselves. I want to remind you that the virtue of humility is not something that we gain by trying harder. You don't try harder to be humble. You learn the virtue of humility. You gain it by becoming a servant. So maybe you want to take a day off and you go to your family and say, hey, I got the day off. I've taken it off, half a day, whatever, and I'm here just to serve you. I'm trying to meet your needs, whatever they are. I'm willing to clean. I'm willing to cook. I'm willing to help with homework. I'm engaged with Zoom school. Just whatever the need may be. I want you to notice though how your ego will kick in. And you will start trying to set the agenda. And you'll try to say, well, maybe you need to do this way, or you need to do that, or do this, or change the order. No. When you come to serve, you just come to make yourself available to meet the need of the other person without trying to be in control. Or maybe you just kind of find a way in your regular day of life, just cutting out little bits of time with the people with whom you work, just making sure you fit in little places of service. But if you really want to take it to another level, if you really want to grow close to Jesus, practice secret servanthood. That means little acts of service and them never knowing that you did it. It's mowing their yard. It's going out and wiping off their windshield. Maybe it's cooking a meal and just leaving it on the front porch or the back step or however to make it safe. Maybe it's writing a note and enclosing a little gift in it and not putting your name on it with no return address. Maybe it's actually even complimenting or affirming them to somebody else, building them up to somebody else, and you never getting the credit. Do you want to grow closer to Jesus? You want to be like Jesus? Practice secret servanthood and see how you grow to more like Jesus himself. And speaking of secret servanthood, I got a stack of dishes over here that I think if I was to do them, it would really help out Dallas a lot. So don't tell anybody. It's a secret. But I'm going to serve my wife right now. Have a great group.